special meeting for April 29th, 2021. Can we salute the flag, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Could the superintendent please call the roll?
Ms. Chisholm.
Here.
Ms. Cormier.
Present.
Mr. Lipset.
Here.
Mr. Kissel.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. All right, move on.
Mr. Kissel.
Yes.
Just present. Yep, thank you. Mr. Mulrennan.
Present.
Dr. Wells.
Here.
Ms. Crowley.
Present. I want to let the public know that this is a public meeting. It is being live streamed by the Woburn Public Media YouTube channel. Mr. Chris Kissel is participating in this meeting, albeit remotely. Anyone that is speaking tonight at the school committee meeting is also consented to be recorded. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Approval of records 3/24/21.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve in a second. Any discussion on that motion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion. Thank you, Mr. Kissel. That motion passes. I think for this purpose, we do not need to do a roll call vote, but I will make sure that I hear Mr. Kissel and announce his vote. Moving on to student representatives, I see we have Ms. Faith Frendudo, who's participating also remotely. If the superintendent would like to introduce Ms. Frendudo.
Sure. So yet again, Faith is joining us remotely and has an update as it relates to the Woburn Memorial High School. Faith, you're on mute. Just there you go.
Thank you, Chair. Here's the report as of April 29th. The biggest news is that this week, WMHS went into a full return back to school for all students, which I can speak on behalf of myself and my fellow students went very well, and thanks to all of the administration for making it as smooth as possible. The Wedge sports season wrapped up over April break, and many of our athletes have been named League All-Stars. Spring sports officially started on Monday, April 26th. The senior prom is being changed to a senior celebration and will be hosted at WMHS on June 3rd, with the rain date set for June 4th, because it will be outside to meet the most updated guidance from the state, following those state guidelines. Decision date for seniors to commit to their college is May 1st. The guidance department, including Ms. Owen, is putting together a video of our senior decisions for college and career choices. This will be shared with the Woburn community. Graduation planning is in full swing, and plans are being updated as new guidance is released from the state and DESE. Seniors have other events taking place as well, such as the virtual lip dub, which will be released by the end of May, a possible trip to Six Flags if they are open, a day of service in the Woburn community, and Ms. Callanan is working with DPW and elementary principals to organize this event, as well as the Odyssey Cruise and Promenader in the works being planned. 86 seniors are participating in the senior internship program. The program was scheduled to begin last year but did not take place due to the pandemic. Grade 10 students are preparing for the ELA and Math MCAS, and grade 11 students that are electing to take the exams to compete for the Adams Scholarship. AP exams begin May 4th and will continue through May 17th. Incoming grade 9 students will be offered the opportunity shortly to schedule tours and orientation between June 22nd and June 25th. Mr. Martin will be in contact with students shortly to organize this event. And lastly, students in grades 9 through 11 will participate in Move Up Day on the final day of school, June 21st, when they will go through their schedules and meet with their teachers for the fall of the school year. And that is all that I have to report.
Thank you so much. Does anyone from the committee have a question for our student representative, Faith Frendudo? Yes, Ms. Cormier.
I know Dr. Wells had brought this up, I think it was last time or the time before, about the AP exams, and there was the question about a contract that the students had as far as taking them.
I think we got clarification from Ms. Sprague about that.
Yeah, well, they were asked to do it, it was optional. It wasn't.
So if they opted in, then they were going to take it.
Opted in.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier. Yes, Mr. Mulrennan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Faith. Great presentation tonight. As a junior, and you've probably been following along like many, we're doing our budget again tonight. So if you were sitting here tonight and had an opportunity to add things to a school department budget, what would be number one on your wish list?
If I could choose something to be budgeted into the school, that's a hard question. Let me see. I would probably say possibly extracurriculars. I know I can speak for myself. I run the Maldives Nations Club, and it's been a really excellent help to get the funding for our conferences. And I know many other club organizations that are, trying to take a step up, whether it's to do field trips or to get more resources, or perhaps looking for more funding. I would have to think on that a little bit to think of another answer, but definitely kind of giving back to the students and making the school the most equitable place possible.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dr. Wells.
Yeah, so maybe you could give us like how it went and your impressions of coming back and seeing everybody there in the building at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a little bit like shocking at first to see everybody in the building at the same time. Things are definitely a lot more, crowded than we used to be, but it is nice having a full classroom and getting to see everybody that else we saw just only on a computer screen, and just overall having more consistency in the schedule as opposed to going and seeing teachers 2 times a week. Now we get to see them 5, which is obviously benefiting our educational experience. So it's been very smooth.
Okay, great. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Wells. Anything else? Ms. Ferdudo, again, just thank you so much for that presentation, be able to answer questions right on the cuff, because I've been on the committee for 7 years and I still don't know how to budget. Again, I just want to remind you that you're perfectly invited to stay for the duration of the meeting and help us deliberate on important topics, but of course you don't have to. I just want to let you know that. And thank you very much for presenting to the school committee tonight. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Faith.
Okay, that's it. Let's call it a, no, just kidding. Okay.
Almost.
So, members, just for the public's clarification, at the last meeting, the school committee directed the superintendent and I to cancel the public hearing so that we could revise the school committee proposed budget fiscal year 2022. And so we're here tonight to hear what the administration has to say in terms of, I don't know if the right word is recommendations, but adjustments, and hear their justification for changing the school committee budget. So that being said, Dr. Crowley or Ms. Delcanata?
Yeah, sure. I guess, I'll preface it by just saying we met the morning after our last meeting, and we've spent a lot of time deliberating. Dr. Baldessari, Ms. Sprague, Ms. Young, Mr. Alcanada, Patty McKinnon has been a great help in the process as well. And, there's a lot of conversation and priorities that get talked about. What we're trying to do at its core is to preserve the classroom. And we believe that the students are the most important thing, and that's the reason why we're here. So we looked at line items that we could reduce, and then ultimately at some personnel to potentially reduce, because to get to the number that was recommended. So that being said, I do believe that Mr. Alcanada shared this with the committee, and I'll turn it over to him to kind of walk through it.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Crowley. When we last met on Monday, or virtually, we were at $70,890,376 for a bottom line budget, which was a 3.89% increase. And we were tasked with getting that to 3.5%, and I believe we have accomplished that. The reductions that we are proposing would be to eliminate a proposed assistant principal position. This is not a current position filled by a body. It was a proposed position. That would save approximately $90,000. We would shift a portion of the substitute line item cost to the American Rescue Plan for $50,000. Transfer one early childhood paraprofessional to a grant, which would be a $40,000 savings. We would reduce the lunch program line item by $25,000. This line item has been $50,000. We have not touched that line item in, I believe, 3, maybe 4 fiscal years. That money is allocated for people who don't pay. If there is a debt at the end of the year, we can wipe off that debt with this line item. Obviously, as you know, we have been looking at other means to get rid of that debt. Reduce the custodial overtime by $15,000. Shift the late bus fees to the American Rescue Plan.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris?
I can't hear, it's muted, I think.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
We would shift the late bus fees to the American Rescue Plan. As you might remember, this year we did not have any late buses. We proposed to put them back in for the budget. We would eliminate one attendance officer position, eliminate the pre-employment drug and alcohol testing, and with the elimination of one attendance officer position, we'd be able to shift an additional $7,500 of salary to the Title IV grant. As you can see, that would shave off approximately $271,000, giving us a budget of $70.619 million, or a 3.49% increase over FY21. I'm going to switch real quick. So there you see our budget summary page of the old number, the reductions, the new number, and the 3.49 if this is approved. What I wanted to also, because we are shifting some monies into the federal stimulus grants, in terms of the ARP, as we had proposed in the last couple of meetings, the auditorium upgrade is approximately $90,000, and we had put that in the American Rescue Plan, but we also made a note that it might be possible to pay that out of the revolving account, which has approximately $201,000. So we are going to go and pay that upgrade out of the revolving account, which frees up $90,000 of that grant. The shifting of the substitute line item, $50,000, plus the late bus fees of $22,800, actually frees up just over $17,000 in that grant. And we also made a switch of moving the middle school librarian to the budget and one of the L secondary teachers to that grant, so that was an even swap, but we wanted to show the transaction. Additionally, in the ESSER 2 grant, we had the history coordinator in the budget, so we shifted the history coordinator to the ESSER 2, moved the assistant principal into the budget, which actually turned out to be an $11,500 savings, and then we subsequently cut that assistant principal, and then we are reducing the the ask of the SPED paraprofessionals from 4 to 2, which saves about $45,000, so that the net increase to the ESSER 2 is $33,000. So not only have we reduced the budget by approximately $271,000, getting under the 3.49%, these other transactions have opened up approximately $51,000 additionally in the federal grant monies, still keeping us, we were between the $1.1 and $1.2 million in federal grant monies. That can be rolled over for FY23. That, as I've repeatedly said, is the beginning of our bridge to move some of these salaries in for the next couple of fiscal years. So that's our reductions. That's our proposal to the school committee.
Thank you. Mr. Kissel, I just want to make sure that you heard that, or you have access to the spreadsheet, because I heard that we were...
I have access to it, and I did hear it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you could
Thank you.
participate. Yep, no problem. Okay, I have questions, Ms. Cormier.
For the elimination of the proposed assistant principal, there was two, right? Goodyear and Malcolm White?
Right.
Which one would you eliminate?
We went back and forth on a lot of this. The quick answer is we landed at the Malcolm White at the proposed to eliminate the Malcolm White. The Goodyear's been asking and needing an assistant principal for a bit longer, coupled with the fact that we are going to add an EL teacher and a special ed teacher at the Malcolm White. And so our thinking is that the support for the high needs students at the Malcolm White may mitigate the pressing need for an assistant principal. Doesn't eliminate it, but it may help support the administration at the Malcolm White.
Do schools ever share assistant principals?
Yeah, that's another part of the conversation we had. And I think it's essentially, we thought about it. At the end of it, what we figured out was that it might be difficult because given the nature of a school, to say whether you leave at 11 to go from one school to another, or you're only the assistant principal on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
It's really kind of difficult to get to that.
Maybe if it's a quiet day at the Goodyear, you can pop over.
Yeah.
I don't know if those exist.
So those are the questions that we did talk about.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier. Dr. Wells?
Yeah, it's an easy one first. What's the strategic importance of shifting a librarian and an EL teacher? There must be some rationale for doing that.
Yep, I think it was just a matter of moving the librarian in, the secondary teacher to the.
Yeah, but is there some significance?
So it's a revenue neutral shift.
Right.
The reason why it's reflected there is we did it since the last meeting.
Yeah.
Part of the reason was in the conversations that we had, the EL numbers at the middle and high school are down a little bit this year, but yet they're asking for positions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we anticipate the number of EL students to escalate quickly.
Okay.
So we wanted to
Okay.
make sure that we reflected the conversation.
Okay. So, yeah, I was just trying to figure out.
Yeah. Right.
It wasn't just
Yeah.
because you wanted to type in some different numbers. The attendance officer position, sort
Yeah.
of give the rationale for that.
Sure. So if you recall, we're going to add potentially a part-time person to the family and community engagement position, so to Adriana's position. There's a new line. I think it's a $25,000 allocation. Is that right?
Yes.
So the 0.5 FTE assistant to the family liaison. So the idea is that this person would kind of pick up some of the work of that attendance officer.
So do we have to because I assume the attendance officer has duties that maybe can't be carried out by somebody else. I'm just guessing because it's one of those it seems like it's a mandated position and there, may have to, and so will the one person be able to do the mandated activities, such as I think they have to appear in court and do all the things that I don't think the 0.5 person could do. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Prior to
Yeah.
the addition
Yeah.
of the second attendance officer, we only had one for
right,
many years.
right,
And the majority of the work is not court.
okay,
The majority of the work is interface
okay,
and connection.
okay,
And we feel that, shifting from a person who kind of has a authoritative approach to someone who has more of a connectivity approach is in the interest of our, where we're going with our strategic plan.
okay. And was one of them retiring at this, or do we have? Because obviously we have to choose one or the other.
I'm not sure how. There's probably go by seniority
Yeah,
in that regard.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're contracted employees.
Yeah, right. Okay, but there wasn't any, somebody said they were retiring?
No.
Okay.
No.
The food line, you mentioned that we hadn't used it, but I'm seeing all these writing off the debts. Isn't that the where we write off the debts from?
Yeah, that line item hasn't been touched in, is it?
Not to that extent.
Right.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, because I know it's been
Yeah,
used,
absolutely.
right.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry,
all.
I may have misspoken.
Okay,
It-
that's, I just wanted to
It's
clarify.
just barely touched over the
Okay.
past 3 or 4 years. So
Okay,
thought
so
it-
we don't anticipate that we're going to have more than 20, was it 25,000 we're leaving in it, or?
Right, and
Okay.
for all of next year, school
Yeah.
lunch is free again.
Oh, okay.
So, in theory, there should, as
Right.
long as that remains free for next year, there should be really
Yeah.
no debt.
Okay,
Nobody should be in debt to that.
okay, all right, I think that's it, thank you.
Okay, Mr.
Breakfast
Lipsick?
too?
Yes.
So, on that point, given that school lunches will be free to students for the full school year, what's the rationale for keeping 25,000 in that account?
We do have a recurring, well, I shouldn't say recurring debt, we do have some debt from this past year, last fiscal year. So
Okay.
if we ever got to a point where we needed to write it off, we could use FY22 monies to write that off.
And yeah, I want to go on record, just with the assistant principal position. I mean, this is something that I know that Malcolm White has been asking for years as well, and I know it's been on the radar for the Goodyear as well. If that's something that we do have to lose from this budget, I would hope that will take major priority next year as well. But,
We do too.
yeah. And I know this was not your choice to do, but here we are. So.
Mrs. Chisholm?
A couple of different things. I just, on Colleen's point, back in the days when my kids were in school, in the old days, the nurses were shared. So on Mondays was the only day kids could be sick, because that's the only day we had a nurse. So it really doesn't, so when we start sharing things, it gets a little bit hairy at days.
We do that with my work too.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, okay. On the elimination of the attendance officer, has that been discussed with the current people now to find out, like, do they believe that this can happen? Because I know when they came before us and said the demand was so high and one person couldn't do it, and they just felt that even going to court was something that held them most of the time. I just don't want it to fall on a new person coming in and not being able to do what we need to do for security for our kids. So I don't know if that was discussed.
So the conversation has not yet been had.
Okay.
Today is Thursday. I mean, so
Yeah.
we will, predicated on the outcome of the vote, obviously have the conversation.
Well, yeah, just because I don't want somebody to read about their job being eliminated,
Right.
on TV.
They get the Times, they won't read about it.
Yeah.
Good point.
And then the custodial overtime, it makes me a little nervous to cut that. I mean, we were concerned this year when the custodians didn't get overtime that a lot of them probably need and depend upon. And I'm hoping to God that next year we're back to school full swing and we'll have more events. We'll have, more sports. We'll have, more kids in the schools, which means more cleaning, more overtime. And if this is reduced, that makes me, I just don't want to underfund something that we think we may have to have.
Yeah, we certainly wouldn't underfund it. We did look back a few fiscal years just to gauge this. We've had enough, obviously, in that line item to cover the overtime. This will make it a little bit closer.
Okay.
So we will watch it, obviously, closely. Yeah, on those events when the custodians are working overtime, some of that revenue is coming into a revolving account that we could pay out of. So
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking sporting events for high school kids, our kids, not
Yeah.
something that we
Yep.
bring in from outside. But
Sure. Right.
I just don't want that to be an issue, and so as long as that's taken care of,
Yep.
we're good. I mean, just, all right. How many positions are we having the grants total, do we know? How many positions currently that we've put into those two grants?
Yes, I
28.
can bring that up. There
The
was
two are
20
eliminated, so.
Yep, I believe there was 24 and
24
change
point
in the
something.
grants.
All right, and we think that eliminating the drug and alcohol testing, we can do that too?
Let me answer the first question.
Okay.
At this point, we have 24.6. Those are 24.6 additional positions.
Correct.
Not all of those are in the grants. I can do a quick calculation to see how many are in the grant. And your second question about eliminating the drug and alcohol testing, we feel as though we're confident that we can do that. Of course, we're going to quarry and fingerprint everyone. That's the law. We'll continue to do that. This has not been an issue. We haven't had, certainly in the last year, any type of violation of these tests.
And it's not any kind of mandate out there that we do?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Chisholm. Anyone else have questions for the administration on this? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the administration for the cuts to bring us down to 3.49.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that motion?
Roll call.
Okay.
Vote.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Chisholm?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
In favor.
Mr. Lipset?
Yes.
Mr. Kissel?
Yes.
Mr. Mulrennan?
Yes.
Dr. Wells?
Yes.
Ms. Crowley?
No. That motion passes 6-1.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we have a public hearing on the budget scheduled, I forget what date.
May 5th.
May 5th, thank you.
Second.
Dr. Wells. Okay,
And the budget be presented to the community in the manners prescribed by law.
okay.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion, thank you. That motion passes 7-0. Under the statute, the school committee can direct where to publish it. The exact words are, we could use it, we could put it in the superintendent of schools' office, or by history, we've placed it at the library, but we're more of a digital kind of district now, so is it okay to publish it on the website? Is that
Yeah, I would
consensus
put
on
one
that?
copy in the library and one copy
Okay.
digital.
All right,
Make a motion to
Oh.
put one in the library? Is that necessary?
sure, yes.
All
is a
right.
motion
I would like
put-
to make a motion to put one copy of this budget for fiscal year 2022 in the library and also online.
Okay,
Second.
all right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passed 7-0. Chris Kissel definitely voting yes.
Just a little delay.
So is it, we can make a physical copy of the budget, Mr. Alcanano?
We can make that happen.
Okay. If you need help, I'll be happy to help you. And I also want to thank Ms. McKinnon
You hit print.
for all of the work and for coming to the meetings. There's binders.
It's the 3-hole punching, it's the
There's
putting it in the
binders.
binder, it's collation, many tabs.
All right.
If it's so easy, John, why don't you do it?
I will. Got the little bird.
I just want to acknowledge, since we have correspondence on the agenda, I want to apologize to Ms. Rena Mazur. She's emailed me a couple times asking us to pass another anti-MCAS resolution, and a very important email, and I've not publicly announced it. So I just wanted to thank her for sending me that email.
Make a motion, we add her email to the public record for this evening's meeting, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And I don't have any other correspondence at this time, but if there has been correspondence, I want to apologize, and I will certainly read them at the next meeting. I didn't have it prepared. And future agenda items, we will have the public meeting next week. If you have other further agenda items, just email me, and we'd be happy to do those. We have to do a school choice vote.
When is the next regular scheduled meeting?
Ms. Cormier would
11th?
know.
The 11th.
The 11th, May 11th.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Mr. Kissel will not be here.
All right, thank you. So we'll have a full agenda on for May 11th. We'll have a shortened agenda in the public hearing on for the 5th. And if you have agenda items, I'd be happy to look over those.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Kissel.
I have a question. I marked off the 11th. I unfortunately, it seems like it's more often with COVID this year for me. I'm not going to be here. Is there any possibility of doing it the Monday instead,
Nope.
the next regular meeting? Is that a conflict with anyone?
what is I'm just pulling up the date, Mr. Kissel,
The 10th.
so I could ask the committee members.
The 9th. Is it the
10th?
9th?
The
That'll be
10th.
the 10th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It'll be the 10th.
Is the 10th work for everybody?
Oh, we have such a life.
Yes.
Administration, it's Mondays are,
Tough days.
you know. Is
It's all right.
Just
Um,
throwing it out there.
You guys,
Okay, I'll accept a motion to move our regular meeting to May 10th.
Good. No, I'll make that motion.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Aye.
Ms. Cormier, do you need a 7:30 on that?
I'll be good. We'll do
Okay.
7.
7's good?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kissel, for bringing that to our attention.
So make sure we delete the 11th.
Yep.
Yes.
The 11th.
Okay. Anything else? I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
To
adjourn.
adjourn, Madam Chair.
Second.
This meeting's adjourned.
There you go.
good night, Chris.